Greetings from my kitchen in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. I am the Obesity Sherpa, also known as CRSBBQ, also known as Chris. I am not a professional chef. In fact, you might say that I don't even necessarily like to cook, but I definitely like to eat. I have no official training. My background is in marketing. I've worked for big companies like Microsoft and Amazon, AT&T Wireless, Verizon, Samsung, just to name a few. A lot in the tech world there. But when I was a kid, my mom one day came to me and said, "You know, girls like a guy who can cook." And since I was definitely a guy who liked girls, that was incentive for me. So she gave me a bunch of her recipe books and told me to pick out some stuff that I might want to learn to cook. And so I did. And a hobby was born. So, though I don't have a degree from any culinary institute of any sort, let's just say that my credentials hang over my belt. So, the way I like to cook, I have a family who doesn't like frozen food. I've raised 3 kids, and not even the best frozen food interests them very much. But we're very busy people. My wife works for a large healthcare company, and my kids had a lot of stuff going on in school, and we wanted to have good meals on the table. So instead of making everything from scratch, which, you know, if you watch the Food Network and some of the other cooking channels and all of that stuff, you will see a lot of people who will teach you how to make every single last bit of a meal from scratch. And I can tell you that I do know how to do that, but who has the time? I mean, I like to spend time with my family, and slaving in the kitchen is not getting that done for me. So I kind of developed, I think a lot of people have done this, but I've done fairly well with it. I've developed a technique. I call it hybrid cooking. And that signals that my oven is ready and waiting for what we're going to give it soon. But with hybrid cooking, I take some things that are pre-made, and then I cook some other things that are homemade, and I combine them into a meal. When I was dating my wife, she loved Mexican food, and so I learned how to take the classic frozen gas station burrito, cook it in an oven so it wasn't mushy like from a microwave, and then make rice and Spanish rice and beans to go with it. Was it fancy Spanish rice? Absolutely not. It was steamed rice tossed with salsa. But let me tell you, that works. And if you don't have salsa, Cholula, Tapatio, taco sauce. La Victoria makes great taco sauce. There's a lot of different ways you can go about doing it. But you do that, you combine all that together, you melt some cheese on top. And though the main portion of it was made, pre-made and sold in the frozen section at most convenience stores, it turned out to be a pretty tasty meal. So that's the thing that my wife still says that she loves, that I made for her over 20 years ago when we were dating. So taking that whole idea and concept and running with it, I've developed a lot of things. So today I'm going to teach you how to make chicken cordon bleu. And what will be served with the chicken cordon bleu is Hollandaise sauce and rice saroni. So it is the San Francisco treat. It's easy to make, it's easy to put on and set it and forget it and get it going. So that is what our side dish will be. If you want to make something fancier than that, if you know how to make your own rice pilaf or risotto or whatever, by all means go for it. Some people like stovetop stuffing with their chicken cordon bleu. I can make stuffing from scratch as well, but I really only do that on Thanksgiving because that's a special day, and if you're the Obesity Sherpa, any eating holiday is a high holy day for you. So each of these shows will be cut down, and we will edit them so that you don't have to listen to the whole thing. It'll be quick hits so that you can prepare your meal quickly. Every show will also consist of at least one restaurant recommendation. I do like to eat out. I've been Yelp Elite for 5 years now, so I can tell you where all the good places are to eat in a lot of towns, definitely in Las Vegas and Seattle, and probably Salt Lake since I spent a bit of time up there as well. Also, each one of these will include shoes. Why shoes? I don't know. I just like shoes. I mean, I like shoes probably more than your average straight guy, but I like them a lot, and because I was raised by parents who grew up during the Great Depression, I have all sorts of great skills for shopping and finding deals. So a lot of the shoes I bought were for a massive discount, and one day I realized I had way too many, and my wife said, if you don't wear every single pair of these at least once a year, then you should get rid of them. And Well, I didn't want to do any of that. So there will be shoes. Along with the ability to find good deals on shoes comes the ability to find good deals on food and groceries. So I will tell you where I buy things and kind of an average price and cost. I try to always shop the sales. The way that I plan my week of eating is I look at the circulars for Smith's, Albertsons, and Vaughn's. I don't know what stores you have where you live. In Seattle, we had Fred Meyer, QFC, Safeway. But my favorites are always going to be Costco, which is a Seattle business, and Sam's Club, which is not a Seattle business and doesn't even exist up there. So for anybody who's watching this from Seattle, sorry, my Sam's Club recommendations are not going to help you a whole lot, but I will give you some of those as well. What I usually do is I buy the base foundation for all my foods at Costco, Business Costco, or Sam's Club, and I shop the meat sales and the produce sales at Albertsons and Vaughn's, and which are the same entity at this point, and Smith's, which is a Kroger grocery store. So if you have whatever Kroger store exists where you are, in Seattle it's QFC and Fred Meyer. In some places it's actually Kroger's, and here it is Smith's. And I am a Smith, but not related to those Smiths, which gets me no discounts whatsoever. So today's shoes are Vans green checkerboard, and I had never owned Vans before I moved to Las Vegas. One of my good buddies, Trent, talked me into doing it. Up in Seattle, my feet would get cold and wet, and so I wore a lot of boots, and that was kind of my main thing. During the summer, I like flip-flops and sandals, but here in Las Vegas, we have about 2.5 months of really, really hot weather, and then the other 9.5, 10 months of the year are perpetual spring and summer, and it gets chilly at night sometimes, especially in the winter months, but for the most part, I can wear tennis shoes and not have to worry about my feet getting soaking wet and cold, which I don't like now that I am a middle-aged person. So, again, today's shoes, Vans green checkerboard, and just so you know, I've got almost every color of checkerboard from Vans at this point, and my wife thinks I have a problem. I'm not going to say she's right. I'm just going to say that Vans are super comfortable. But there are other shoes that are comfortable as well, and I've discovered tennis shoes in my middle age now, because as a younger person, it was all about Timberlands and Doc Martens and Wolverines and that kind of stuff. But anyway, let's get started with the food. As I said, today we're making chicken cordon bleu. So I bought some chicken at Costco. This is about half of it that I've already opened. This came as a 6-pack. Each one of these individually sealed packs has 2 chicken breasts in it. I'm going to make 4 of them today because my wife and my youngest daughter, who is home from college, and I are going to be eating this for dinner. So, first order of business, we need to prepare the chicken. So, I like to take some saran wrap, plastic wrap, whatever you call it. I have the big industrial roll that comes from Costco, and I took out a big piece of it and I folded it in 4 so that I can pound this chicken out without splattering it all over my kitchen. The way that we're going to do this, we need the chicken flat. There's multiple ways to go about doing this. You can get really thick chicken breasts and cut a slit in them and stuff the stuff in that way. I've done that before. It's honestly kind of hard to pull off just right, and I think that I like the way this turns out better. So I'm going to start by pounding this out flat. All right, that looks flat enough. All right, so we're going to start with our cheese. All right, so here's my cheese that I sliced up ahead of time. I didn't figure that everyone needed to observe me slicing cheese. If you don't know how to slice cheese, I'm sure there's a tutorial on YouTube that can help you. All right, so just kind of lay it out on the piece of chicken, and then we have our ham. So we're gonna lay out some of this on here. This I will buy pre-sliced, by the way. My ham I could go either way, but if you're making this, getting something really thin sliced is definitely a good way to go. All right. A little bit there. That's a good amount. Set this aside, and we're going to roll it. So rolling it, if you haven't gotten it flat enough, rolling it is not going to be easy. So you want to do it like just slowly and carefully. Try to keep everything in there. All right, so there you go. So you've got, it's basically kind of a chicken bundle. We're going to secure that with some toothpicks. So there we go. We're going to start out like this, and we will do the rest of these, and then we will get to then we will bread them. Okay. So pause and take a quick look at my sweet green checkerboard vans. Breading. As for the breading, we're going to make a dredge, which consists of flour and some seasonings. Really important to add seasonings to the dredge, because that's where you get a lot of flavor. So I'm going to use about a cup. The flour doesn't matter. You just don't want to use too much, because you're going to throw away whatever's left. And I was raised by parents who grew up during the Great Depression. They're no longer with us, but wasting things was not on the menu ever. So I'm just going to season this up a bit. So I have some garlic salt. I can't remember if I get this at Costco or Sam's Club, but they carry them in both places. I'm just going to dump some of that in there. Don't need too much. And then just a little bit of kosher salt. Some granulated garlic. And this stuff, you can do whatever you want. I mean, these are just things I know taste good and they're easy. I'm just dumping in a little bit of that. I try to use fresh garlic in most things, but if you're making a dredge, dry ingredients are good. And then we have some powdered onion. You can use granulated onion. I probably use granulated more often, but I'm going to try out some powder today and see how that goes for us. All right. So I'm going to take a whisk and get this stuff all whisked together. I want to make sure we spread those seasonings throughout so that they're getting all over our meat. So the idea of the dredge is that it helps hold the actual breading or batter to the meat once you get to that point. And there's a lot of different ways to do it. There's a lot of people who believe you should do this, get everything dredged and battered and or breaded or whatever, and then leave it in the fridge overnight. I mean, that works. I don't see a big enough benefit from it that I do it with any sort of regularity. All right, then we have our wash. So for that, I'm going to use whole milk, purchased from Costco. Just put a bit in there. Just a little bit. Again, you can kind of eyeball it. You don't need exact amounts. So then a couple of eggs. Okay, and then a little trick I learned from, I think it was Tyler Florence or someone on the Food Network way back when. Put some hot sauce in there. It's not going to be hot. It's not going to burn your mouth. It's just about the flavor. We whisked up our milk and our eggs and our sriracha sauce, or again, whatever sauce you prefer. And finally, the breadcrumb. What I do with these is I actually take half of it out and I fill it half full of panko, which is Japanese breadcrumbs. They're very crispy. So this gives kind of a more seasoned flavor. The panko gives it more texture. I like doing this. You don't have to. You can just buy it like this. You can make your own. If you want to dry out bread and run it through a food processor, whatever is easiest for you. Like I said, a lot of what I focus on is making it so that you can make quick and tasty meals for your family. And then take our chicken and we need to cover it in the dredge. So just roll it there carefully. You're gonna have a little bit of stuff flopping out of it. That's all right. No one's gonna complain, especially when they eat it. All right. So then roll it in the wash and then roll it in breadcrumbs. Okay, it's the first one, and just do the same with each of them. Okay, we've got our oven going at 375. So what we're going to do is we're going to brown these in the pan and then pop them in the oven for 10-15 minutes to finish cooking them on the inside. So we're going to go ahead and start our rice-a-roni, because that takes about 20 minutes to cook. This looks like it's probably hot enough. Let's go ahead and get this going. Coming along well. Flip these again. Alright, beautiful. Alright, giving these one last flip here. How beautiful those are. Okay. Now we're going to pull the rubber handle off of my oven safe pan here. And these are going in. Pan and all. Oh, I've made hollandaise from scratch before. It's a little involved. I like this stuff. You can get it at Business Costco. It's a big thing. It'll last you a while. All right, so I'm scaling down the size of this because the amounts that are on the side of that tub are for large amounts, and I only need about half of the smallest size. So just know that if you're eating hollandaise sauce, there's a little butter in it. And a little butter makes a little of this happen. So plan accordingly. Now when you make hollandaise sauce, it's important to stir that a lot because that milk will burn on the bottom. I'm going to use whole milk with the butter. I'm going to reduce the heat on that. Add our milk. It's about 4 cups of whole milk there. This is our powdered hollandaise sauce mix. It's going to go right in there. Let's whisk it good here. But here's the hollandaise sauce. It's coming out perfect. Thickened up just right. See how our chicken's looking. Oh yeah, that's freaking pretty. I'll give that a few more minutes. So, one of the important things is to have a good thermometer. You can get them cheap, you can get them good. This is the best one I've found. It's the Thermapen. It's so accurate, I can get the temperature inside my house on this thing. You can get this through ThermoWorks. They're online. I think you can find them on Amazon. I've got a couple of them. Big fan. So we want this chicken to be right in the 160 range at the center. All right, we're there. Let's go ahead and sauce this thing. It's pretty good. And a little rice-a-roni. And there you have it. Chicken cordon bleu, homemade. Rice-a-roni, not homemade. Hollandaise sauce, also not homemade, but a delicious meal nonetheless. So, there you go. That's your first helping from your first surprise from the kitchen of the Obesity Sherpa. So, just so you know, a lot of our future episodes will be a little less involved. You'll have less to do. I thought I'd kick it off with something that a lot of people seem to like when I posted pictures of it previously. So there you go. This meal is ready to go, and it's going to be awesome, I promise. So that's it for the very first episode of the Obesity Sherpa. I'd like to apologize to our guest, Jimmy Kimmel. He was going to show up and teach us how to make his famous squirrel pie, but ran out of time for Jimmy, so maybe next time. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next time, and keep on eating. Hey, if you like this video, please tell your friends about it. Share it on your social media. Hit that like button on YouTube. Please follow us and hit the bell so that you get notified when a new episode goes up. We're going to try and average at least one a week, but we appreciate your support, and we're trying to support you in getting dinner on the table. Thank you.